One of the biggest time wastes in private practice is around invoicing and payments. And if you are struggling with this, you are not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you a simple system to track client payments so that you can avoid overdue invoices and get paid on time. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Kim. I help therapists in private practice with their business systems and processes, getting them confident with admin and reducing tech overwhelm. And I do have an invoicing and payment tracker template for you. I'm going to show you that at the end of this video, and you can also purchase it if you click the link in the description or scan the QR code here. So what are the most common payment issues that therapists in private practice face? Well, number one is not invoicing at all or not having a payment process. Number two is forgetting to track payments. Number three, constantly checking for payments. Number four, clients paying late or not at all. Number five, mixing different payment methods. And number six, spending too much time chasing payments. All of these things can take you away from what it is that you're actually wanting to do, which is to be in the therapy room with your clients. So much time can be wasted with checking your bank account constantly to see if somebody's paid, chasing somebody to ask for payment and them just not paying you. Having too many different payment methods. So some people are paying you via cash, some people are paying you via backs. You have a card machine. You also have an online payment processor like Stripe. There are too many ways for you to have to check if someone has paid you. And one of the biggest things I see is therapists not actually invoicing at all. They are not sending invoices to their clients. I have had many therapists over the years and not one of them has ever sent me an invoice. And in the past 9 years that I have been working for therapists in private practice, they've all known what I do as a job and I still haven't had an invoice. The number one reason people have come to me looking for a VA for their private practice is around this. It's around tracking their invoices and payments and medical insurance and things like that. And I can tell you that I have worked with therapists that have not tracked payments and have been owed thousands of pounds from their clients. So if you are struggling with this, please know you are not alone, and I have seen this time and time again. So let's talk about how to keep track of client payments. Step number one is to use a payment tracking system. So you can use a simple spreadsheet like mine. You can create your own. I'm actually going to show you exactly what mine looks like and how to use it. So you can 100% just recreate it if you want, or if you want it done for you, just click the link below. It's going to be really easy for you to set up and use. You can also use accounting software like Sage or Xero or QuickBooks. You can use a payment service provider like Stripe, or you can use an EHR like Xander, which is going to really elevate your invoicing game. If you're starting out, you can absolutely just manually invoice your clients and use a simple spreadsheet to track payments. I have clients that have been in private practice for many years and they still do this. We still do manual invoicing because it works for them and their clients. She also obviously uses me and we use my spreadsheet, so it works really well for her and she doesn't have to actually chase any payments or track any invoices. But if you're doing it alone, you can absolutely just use a spreadsheet. But you just need to make sure that there are some rules around that, which I'm going to go through later in the video. Step number two is to automate where possible. If you are invoicing manually for your private practice, I would highly suggest that you invoice on a monthly basis as opposed to a session by session basis. Number one, you don't want to be invoicing every single day. If you invoice on a weekly basis, that could work, but it does mean you are doing 4 times the amount of work that you would need to do if you did it monthly. Also, because you're only doing backs payments, so clients can only pay with a bank transfer, it's going to be much more likely that you're going to get paid on time if they only have to do that once a month. Lots of clients will see you on a regular weekly or fortnightly basis, so it's very easy to predict how many sessions they are going to need to pay for. And you can always carry sessions over if they cancel with notice or you have to cancel. It also means that you then only have to check your bank account once per month because you're invoicing everybody at the same time. Everybody has the same deadline. You check that payment once per month. You can tie this in with your bookkeeping, and then you'll only have a handful of clients that you would need to chase and send a friendly reminder and let them know that their payment is overdue. However, if you are not doing this manually and you are using a system like Stripe or an EHR like Xander, you want to automate anything you can. So with Stripe, you will need to create the invoices manually, but what you can do is set up an automated reminder email so that it sends it to the client if they haven't paid on time. So maybe you set that for 24 hours after the payment should have been made, and then it will automatically email the client and say, hey, you haven't paid for this invoice, and you can customize that email template. If you are using a system like Xander, you can do exactly the same thing, and you can set up automated invoice reminders that go to your client after a certain amount of time after the invoice is due. Step number 3 is keeping payment methods simple and clear. So you want to make sure your payment terms are clear from the start. So I would make sure that they're in your therapy agreement. I would also send them in your welcome email, and I would also verbally tell your client one way or another, whether that's in the intro call or in their first session, what your payment terms are. I would limit the payment options to 1 or 2. So for me, I would say you want some kind of way that somebody can click a link and pay online, and also you can accept bank transfers if you would like to. I wouldn't accept cash or checks, because that's going to mean that you have to go out of your way to go into a bank, put that money into your business, and that's just a complete waste of time. It's also very hard to track that the client has paid you, give them a receipt and things like that. And step number 4 is reviewing payments weekly if it's automated, or monthly if it's manual. So like I said, if you are manually invoicing, I would highly recommend switching to monthly payments, and then you only have to check your bank account once a month to see that payments have been made. If you are invoicing online, you can very easily run a report to see what is overdue. It's going to take you a couple of seconds. If you're using Stripe or if you're using Xander, you can very easily run a report, have a look at all the invoices that are overdue, see how overdue they are if the client has already been sent an automated reminder, and then you can make a note to speak to them in session or send another email to them. Please don't be afraid to chase for payments. You are offering a service, they have agreed to that service, they have used that service, and they should pay for that service. So the next section is how to avoid late invoices. The first way is to set clear payment terms up front. We have just talked about this, making sure that clients know how to pay, when to pay, what they will receive, and things like that. You want to make sure that that is in your agreement, that's in your welcome email, and you verbally tell your client as well. You should also put it on the invoice when you send it. You should put the payment terms, how they can pay and when it is due. And trust me, people are much more likely to pay when they actually physically receive an invoice. The other thing is you want to make it as easy for them to pay as possible. So if there's an online link that they just click and they can make a payment, super easy. Lots of people now on their computer will have like quick pay, so they don't even have to enter any details. They just need to approve it. And if it's manual, like I said, and I will reiterate, try and do it as infrequently as possible. So if you can move to monthly payments, that's going to make it much more easy for somebody to pay you. Most people budget on a monthly basis anyway. So if you send the invoice at the end of 1 month for the next month, then they're going to know exactly how much it's going to cost them for therapy for the month. And if they only have to pay once, they're going to be much more likely to pay on time. Make sure you use email templates to tell them about your payment policy, to send them their invoices, and also to remind them when an invoice is overdue. Then you only have to do this thing once, and you can just very easily plug and play as needed, and it's going to save you loads of time when it comes to invoicing. The second way to avoid late payers is to send an invoice. I have spoken about this before, but it's really important. If you just tell someone at the beginning of your time working together, can you just pay me before your session? Trust me, they will forget. If they have not been reminded, a lot of people are going to forget to make that payment, not because they don't want to, but just because it's not on their mind. Send them an invoice. You will be amazed how much that increases your payment rates just from that one small thing. I'm going to reiterate again. If you're doing it manually, switch to a monthly invoice. If you're doing it online, then you could still do weekly invoices if you wanted to, because it's much easier for them to pay and it's not going to take them too much time out of their day to pay you. What I would say though is if you're using an online payment system like Stripe, I wouldn't recommend you do your invoicing every single day, because you've got to log into that system, you have to create the invoices. It's actually going to take you more time to do it daily than it is to do it on a weekly basis. Just set 15-20 minutes aside every single Monday morning or Friday afternoon, send all of your invoices in one go. Then your clients are going to start to learn when to expect them, and then they will be more likely to pay them as well. And for an elevated experience, you could upgrade to an EHR like Xander, where an invoice is created automatically every time an appointment is made, so you don't even have to do anything. The next way to avoid late payments is to send overdue invoice reminders. Now, people do not like being told when they've done something wrong, so you can send them a really friendly, gentle reminder that their payment is overdue. They're not going to love receiving that, right? They're not going to love knowing that they haven't paid you when they should. And so they're probably going to avoid that in the future. Don't be scared to send these emails. And remember, you can automate them so you don't even need to think about it. But please send them, because your clients are going to be more likely to pay there and then, and also more likely not to pay late in the future. And finally, consider having a late payment policy. So some therapists that I work with do have a fee for late payments. So if they have been reminded once and then they haven't paid straight away, then a fee is added on to that invoice. So you could consider doing that, or you could also consider pausing therapy until the bill has been settled. I've seen this happen when people have not paid for multiple sessions. So let's say a client is 3 sessions behind payments, then you could pause sessions with them until that bill has been settled, because actually allowing your client to rack up more debt with you is only going to be detrimental to both you and them. Okay, so we're now going to jump into my computer so I can show you my invoicing template if you would like to see what it looks like before you buy it. So I'm going to show you what the invoice looks like and how to use my invoicing log. And you can obviously just create this yourself if you would like as well. So I would highly recommend just watching the next part of the video if you are sticking to manual invoicing. So let's jump into my computer right now. So the first template I want to show you is the invoicing template, and this is what you'll get when you download it. So what I would say is keep a copy of the original that was downloaded, and then you want to update it with your own details there. So to insert your company name and logo, you can just double click over it and it's going to open the header and footer. So we can delete the logo. Then you can insert a picture from this device and insert your logo. Make sure to size it correctly. Just going to sort out the centering of that in a second. There we go. And then you can enter your company name here. So I'm just going to put like that. I'm just going to change the font of that, make it a little bit bigger. And okay, so now we have our heading. Okay, so then if you just click out of the header, you can then update the footer. So you might not need all of this, you can choose what you want in here, but you should have your company address on your invoice. Okay, and then we can put the website and an email address like that, and then you can put your name, title, qualification, blah blah blah, registration number if you want to add it, and obviously if you're VAT registered you would need to add that as well, but I do have a VAT registered invoice template for you which is going to look slightly different. You can also change colors, so if you don't want it to look grey, you can change the colors. If I just click on the table itself and go to shape format, and then here I can do shape fill, and I can change to have any color I want. If you want more fill colors, you can click there and then you can enter your own hex code. So maybe I want it to match my Simmons counseling, so you can put the hex code in there if you want to. I'm just going to leave it grey for now. And the same with this one. This is also just this is a table, so if you just go to table design and shading, and then you can change the colors here. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that because that does not look nice. Okay, the only other thing you'd want to update here is your actual account name, bank account, account number and sort code, and then you can use this as your main template. So then every single time you create an invoice, you would just need to write who the invoice was to, date the invoice, give it an invoice number, fill in the details about what you are actually invoicing for, add a total amount and the invoice due date. And then what I would do is save that as a PDF, and then you can send that to your client. Okay, the other template you will get is an invoice log. So basically here what you want to do is keep a record of all of your invoices and who it was invoiced to, what date it was invoiced, how much for, and then you can record when it was paid, add any notes about it, and also then select what month it was received. So I've got the months here. As you can see, I've got April and April 2, and that is because in the UK tax year, it runs from the 6th of April to the 5th of April every single year. So if in the first year of the tax year, let's say 2025, money is received after the 6th of April, you would put it in April. But then as you get down the bottom, if you invoice, let's say at the end of March, and then you receive payments early April, then you would want to use April 2 to mark when it has been paid in. And then if you go to the invoice tab, you'll be able to see here how much you have received each month from your invoices. So I'm just going to show you how this would work. So let's just say we're starting with invoice number 1. You can obviously start with any number you want. I'm just going to drag this down here like that. And then you want to say who you sent your invoice to. So I'm just going to say John Smith. And the date I sent it was the 27th of March 23. The invoice amount, so you're going to put how much the invoice was for. So let's say it was £420. And then that is all the information you will need to fill out once you send the invoices. And like I explained in the video, I would do this monthly so that you can just have a list of your clients that you can just copy and paste here. Enter the date. So the date is going to be the same for every single client. Let's say I've got 8 clients. Okay, enter the invoice amount, and then let's say the due date is the 31st of March, early April, you would be able to check your bank account and check when these people paid and see who is overdue. So I'm just going to fill in some more details. And that would be all you have to do when you send the invoices in the first place. And then what you would do is you would go ahead and fill in the date that it was paid. So let's say that these were paid okay. The next thing you want to do is just use the drop down to fill in the month that it was paid. So this is March, 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 and then this one is going to be April 2 because it is in the latter part of the tax year. And then let's say Caleb Brown didn't pay for their invoice, so you would then chase them to let them know it was overdue. And for example, if you needed to cancel that invoice, so let's say that she has decided she's not going to continue with therapy, but you've already sent her the invoice, what you can do here is just add the notes to say invoice cancelled and just leave the month received blank, and then you can just highlight that one off as cancelled. You can highlight all these ones as paid like that. And then if you go to the other tab, you can see here that we have received £1,870 in March and £720 in April. And you'll also be able to get the total for the year as well. And then in your bookkeeping, you'll be able to make sure that what has been received in the bank matches your invoice log. This is a really simple way for you to track your invoices and something that I'm sure you could replicate and create for yourself if you wanted to. Okay, I really hope you found this video useful. If you have any invoicing or payment tips, please leave them below. I'm sure that other therapists will find that really helpful. If you would like to buy my invoicing template that I've just shown you, there is a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code here. I'd also suggest watching my video on how to reduce no-shows and cancellations in private practice. That is going to be the video that is suggested for you on the next screen. And until next time, thanks so much for watching.